Testing 1, 2, 3. I am live from a hotel. Come watch me. All right, let's see if we can get this party started. I'm going to waiting for a bunch of things to finish working. Oh my God, I don't have a single computer that's running at a decent speed. Give this a little bit of time and then I'll get started. So, see if I can. My computer's like typing at like 1 frame a second. Once I get this going, all right. Well, my Twitter is blowing up. All right, I think that tweet should work, assuming I spelled Twitch correctly. Well, my Twitter is pulling up from Ludum. I figured I'd try to do some. All right. I can't type. All right, I'm almost done. What I'm actually waiting for is this mono game package to download so I can finish installing it. And once I get that going, I should be able to. And then there's a bunch of stuff I need to set up. So once I get that stuff set up, I can actually do some coding. So I don't plan on getting a lot done tonight, but we'll see. It would be cool if we can get everything I need prepped and ready to go before Friday. And I believe Friday it's going to be a lot earlier than normal. I'm actually on the West Coast, and usually it's like 9 o'clock or something. Now it's going to be 3 in the afternoon, or maybe it's like 6 here or something. I have no clue. I don't even know what time zone I'm in. I'm in so many different. I travel so much. All right, whatever. That tweet will either work or it won't work. And yeah, I think I'm live. Looks like I'm live. All right, so my plan is to. All right, let me get out of Chrome on this tablet. And let me minimize this, and well, we'll leave Adam open for a second. If you're just joining, I am in Irvine, California. So I'm going to be here over the weekend, and my plan is to do Ludum Dare from my hotel room, because that's how I roll. And while I do that, I'm going to get everything set up. So I don't know the noise quality. I have a little portable mic that I travel with sometimes, so the noise quality is probably going to be questionable, but you know, it's stuff. It is what it is. All right. So one thing I'm going to do while I'm still downloading that stuff is let me finish configuring. Let me finish configuring Atom here. And let's see. So I want the PV8 game creator as a must. Then we want installed packages. Let me see here. Packages. I'm just trying to get. There's a whole bunch of things that I set up in Atom in order to get it to work with Pixel Vision 8. And let's see here. Atom, Beautify. I also do Minimap, which is awesome. It gives you like a whole little like mini map off to the side. I do a Minimap find and replace. There should be a Minimap highlight too. Minimap highlight. Highlight selected. That's definitely what I need. Then I want language Lua. Wait, Minimap highlight select needs to install dependencies. Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm trying to install that right now anyways. I want language Lua. Highlight selected, which I think is what it was trying to install. Good, all right. And auto complete Lua. That one's critical. It gives you a really good autocomplete inside of Lua. And while all this stuff updates, I'm going to go into these packages here, and I just want to go to the settings for Atom, Beautify, and for Lua. So many languages. For Lua, we're going to do Beautify on save, and that everything else should be sort of connected. I just have to switch something with my headphones. All right. Hopefully the headphone wires don't make too much noise. If that's the case, then I might just switch over to something else. But if you're, I guess like people just be slow. I like left work and I didn't even take my badge off. I've been like sitting in my hotel trying to get everything up and running. So my plan for tonight is I want to just get Pixel Vision 8 working. I have a new build of Pixel Vision 8 that I sort of previewed earlier today, security, on Twitter, which allows you to do some pretty cool stuff. Most notably is it's all done in monogame now. I am no longer using Unity, at least for this project. I'm sure I'll have to use Unity for other things. Actually, at work, I'm already using it. So that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to install monogame on this Mac. I've already downloaded the main project. The only other thing I need to do is download the OS, which is a new, I restructured this in a new way. And my plan is I'm going to use the bleeding edge build of Pixel Vision 8 during Ludum Dare, which always seems to backfire. No, actually the last two ones have been okay. There was one Ludum Dare I was doing, maybe it was like this, maybe it was when I did Reaper Boy. I was using like a bleeding edge version of Pixel Vision 8 and it just wasn't working. And I wound up spending more time patching Pixel Vision 8 than I actually did making my own game. But I did wind up making a game. All right, let's see here. We're going to open up Writer. So my setup on my Mac is so I have somebody who's a contributor to monogame had patched monogame for me, and I have a special build that I'm working with until my patch gets included into the main branch. So I have like a special installer, and then I've been using Writer, which is an awesome C#. Solution was loaded with one error. Could not determine Android. And Pixel Vision SDK failed. What's going on here? I think I need to Okay, let's do this. Let's quit out of this and git download a submodule. I forget what the command. I'm using submodule. I'm not a big fan of submodules, but it it sorts out one of the bigger problems that I have, which is trying to keep a more modular code base. All right, so now cd pixel vision SDK git branch. All right, so git check out v 1.9.0 features. Git branch, perfect. All right, so cd ls clear, and git status. We should be good to go. It's gonna change a few of these things. I need to start ignoring these IDE project files and stuff, but that's fine. So let's quit out of terminal, and let's go back into Writer and see if this actually works. We'll start a Pomodoro timer. I don't know how long I'm going to stream for. My legs are already hurting from just sitting in code. I've been up since 2 a.m. working. So, and I think right now out here it's 10 after 5, so I'm hoping to go to sleep soon. But I figured I'd give it a good hour or so of streaming and just see where we are. Tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm going to go in and we'll do a full proper stream in the morning, and then every day I'll just start streaming as I continue to get closer to Ludum Dare. All right, so I'm going to close that out, and here we go. All right, so I now have a good build of this. It's telling me that it can't do Android, which is fine. Unregistered VS root detected. Yeah, whatever. All right, so the real test is I should be able to do a build, and I think the sound's going to come out to you guys. What we should do is let's just fix the sound stuff. All right, so this is the new build of Pixel Vision 8, and what I need to do is it doesn't have anything installed on this computer. So I'm going to go here, and we're going to look at this folder right here, and let's open up a new terminal. And I need to, this is a new feature of Pixel Vision 8, is you need to actually install an OS. Now I have not finished what that process looks like, but the basic foundation of it is in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out the Pixel Vision OS. Whoops. Git clone. We're going to download this into the Pixel Vision 8 folder that it creates in your documents. Hey, how's it going, Ziok? Welcome to the ghetto stream from a hotel room. All right, so we install that, and then what I need to do is cd into Pixel Vision OS, git we'll do git fetch, and then from git fetch we're going to do git check out v 0.9.0 features, and git branch. We are in the right branch. Cool. So now if I restart, well, this probably isn't going to work. I have to rerun Pixel Vision 8. So let's just do a new build, and we'll take a look. I think you have some. Let's just all DOS instead. I know. That's what I was going for. You're gonna actually be able to drag the OS onto Pixel Vision 8, and it'll install the OS, and it'll give you that little floppy icon. So, all right, we are in. So what I'm going to do, now there's a lot of stuff, I was going to say crap. There's a lot of crap that's broken. Mostly the finder is broken, And what I need to do is out of here, tools, there should be a systems thing here. I'm going to copy over the system tool. And I'm going to paste this into the workspace's game folder manually. And we're going to convert that into something that works. So if I run this, it's going to give me an error. And that's probably because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work anymore. What we could do, I just want to see if it works. If we go into workspace demos, let's drag the canvas demo in here. Look at that. Oh, it crashed. Cannot access alpha 1. Yeah, okay, I got to fix that. I changed a lot of the key stuff. This micro platformer should work. So you can literally drag a folder onto it now, and boom, it loads up a game. I was so happy when I got that working. That's like the coolest thing. So if you get like a .pv8 file from someone online, you can basically just drag the PV8 file onto Pixel Vision 8 now. It'll show you the little disk icon, and you should get that. Now, I don't know if you're getting the sound. It doesn't look like the sound is coming through. Just making sure, like a big part of what I'm trying to do here is just check the audio for stuff. You hear the sound? Okay, let me... Did that kill the sound for the game? I don't have I'm not previewing it. Let me... No sound. All right, but you still hear me talking. All right. So what I want to do is I want to get this to the point where... So, CastPixel has created some. All right. Well, I'll preview it later and I'll figure it out. Hold on. Let's get this right. What I'll do is I'll just put my headphones into. I was here long ago when you were changing Pixel Vision to Visit Pixel Visit. It's a good name for it. The mono game or some other framework. How did that go? Yeah, so this is the mono game build of it. Well, what I want to make sure is that you're not getting... Well, I can fix that anyways. Here, we'll just go... This is the mono game build. It runs amazing. There's just... All I'm trying to do is just reconnect up all the OS stuff. And... all right, when I muted Rider. Good. Okay, perfect. That's what I need to hear. Thank you. Yeah, it's... I'm really happy to be off of Unity. It was just a complete mess, and every release just got buggier and buggier, and now I have a custom build of monogame just for Pixel Vision 8, and it's all good. So, all right, what I'm going to do is, let's go into projects here, workspace. Okay, I'm going to go into games, system tools. All right, so this is the default system template, which should give us all of the components and everything. And what I need to do, and what so let's add some folders here off to the side so I can keep track of this stuff. So let's do this is the Pixel Vision OS. This is my workspace, documents, projects. This is the runner, and I put this here, but we can, I'll make a link to shared. In shared, I have this folder of done things, and no one has really seen this yet. I haven't tweeted any of these pictures of these things, because mostly what winds up happening is I feel like I tweet features of Pixel Vision 8 and they somehow wind up in other frameworks. So I'm not going to name any names, but I've been sort of keeping this a little bit secret. But what I do want to work on is settings tab 2. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy. We're going to take settings, the knob, and the buttons. And we're going to copy them over to here somewhere. We'll just put them in the workspace games, system tool, new folder, reference. And we'll throw them in here. Then I also need to get out of here this output stuff. And I'm going to put all this stuff into here. And I need to change my password, or show my password for this. All right. And while we're at it, because I'm copying stuff over from a different profile, not what I intended. Hold on. All right, got some good music going on, which you guys can't hear. That I was able to get right. Let's get into here and fix the sharing permissions. And we're going to set this to all the enclosed items. This way we get the right permissions. And let me just make sure that we have the right permissions here too. Okay, I can read and write to this. Perfect. All right, so let's open up these three things in Photoshop. And the goal of what I want to do tonight is we're going to, I need to install these fonts, and I don't think I copied them over. All right, I'll deal with that later. Oh my God, there's so many windows from Photoshop when you open it up for the first time. It's like so, close tab group, close tab group, close tab group. All right. Close tab group. I mean, there's like only a couple of panels that I use, but all right. So this is a preview of what the new settings tool is going to look like. And what I wanted to do was I was going to build the settings tool into the runner so that when it booted up, if you don't have an OS, it basically, here I'll show you sort of what happens. And let's go to Pixel Vision OS. And what we're going to do is we're going to just call this back. And we'll do a new build of Pixel Vision 8. So what happens is that when you now boot up Pixel Vision 8, either for the first time or and you don't have an OS installed, it's going to just throw you an error that can't find a game to run. And like I was showing earlier, what you can actually do is just go here, take any folder that has like the valid Pixel Vision 8 files in it. So if I go to demos and I drag the micro platformer on, it'll just load it up and play the game. What I want to do is that when you hit escape from here, you actually can't exit this game. And I want it to be that when you hit escape, you can actually go to the settings or something. I don't know. I haven't decided. The other option I was thinking of is that when you hit escape, the game can capture it instead of going back to like the default tool, and it would let you can put your own screen in instead of having to use the system one. But I might let you have like a built-in one. So, anyways, that's what I'm going to work on now. And in order to do that, I need to start reskinning all these components. And CastPixel has made this lovely chart for me to follow that has all the different states of buttons. So I got to go through and figure this out. That's disabled. I wish she'd name these. I just asked her to throw this together, so I'm not. Usually she's more organized. I needed this in a pinch. All right, those are the upstates. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to reskin some buttons, I guess. Those are probably the easiest ones to start with. Oh, she's so good. She did give me overstates and everything for all this stuff. Okay, so the plan is originally the way that I did all the Pixel Vision 8 UI stuff. I'm going to stand. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. I guess you can hear me. I'll just talk louder. The way that I originally did the buttons and everything is I cut them out and had them as individual sprites. So if we take a look at, let's go into, first off, let's rename this back to Pixel Vision OS. And I think I did a build, but I need to Come on, how cool is that? Now it's like its own little window and you can just drag games onto it. This is like the most exciting, after like months of refactoring and years of building Pixel Vision 8, it's finally like exactly what I wanted it to be, which is like a little fantasy VM for this imaginary game console. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to open this entire folder in Atom. And let's, no, I do not want to help. Let's close this. Let's quit this. And we're going to drag the Pixel Vision 8 workspace folder into Atom. And it's going to give us the workspace and all the other stuff. And we're going to look at games, system tools. And from here, we will, whoops, I'm falling off my chair. It's a very uncomfortable hotel chair. What we're going to do is we're going to try to go through and figure out what is broken. So let's go into games, system tools, and just run this and see what happens. All right, so Lua, line 466, attempt to call a nil value. So 466, code.lua. All right, that's not a good sign. Because there is no line 466. So why is... All right, let's do this the hard way. Let's stop all this, and we're going to refresh this game and just see what's going on. So let's run it. Huh. That's not good. Why is this not working? And also I broke back, apparently. The only thing I think of that's probably broken right now is I'm willing to bet you that line 466 is actually the code file for the Finder. Tools, system, tools, file picker. It was what, 466? Copy to temp directory. All right, here's the problem. I just copied this thing over. That's on me. I got it. I can fix that. What I need to do is in the info file, I need to change this to a PV8 extension, and the Finder won't try to copy it. And that's what was going on. So now if we run this, boom, everything works. Whew, okay. So now what needs to happen is I think for the most part it's not going to be very hard to reskin a lot of this stuff. I think it's really just going to come down to, let's take a look at the way that this project is structured. Hopefully I did this correctly and I put in all of the, nope, I did not. I'm an idiot. Okay, so we're going to do this the hard way, but actually I don't think it's going to be that bad per se, because I think, all right, let's open this up. Let's stop like thinking so much and let's just get info. I want to open up all PNG files in Photoshop, and we have a basic tile map. All right, so what I want to do is, I think for the most part I can start replacing just where the sprites are, and get that stuff working. Because like in an ideal world, what I'd want to have happen is something like this. I should be able to take the Do I not have the input field here? I guess she didn't put the input field because it doesn't have a, the input field doesn't have a, how is this working? Nope, hide extras, but I want to, I gotta configure Photoshop too. This is like, so generally when I stream on my computer, I do, I want this in pixels 16. I set up a separate account so that you guys don't see the text messages from my wife or my friends and other embarrassing stuff that I don't want showing up. General, where's units? I want everything in pixels. So that being said, I have to go through and like set up all this stuff from scratch. So view, show grid. All right, there we go. So what I do is I set the grid to 16 with a subdivision of 2, which gives me 8s. It's like really hard to see on this one. But what I wanted to make sure was that like, all right, I see what she did. Because if I come here and I want to show the grid here too. View, show grid. I think what winds up happening is these are the same size, but the labels are going to have to be text on top of them. Oh no, it's not. Wow, she's so good. Okay, so it is the same size, and so for something like this, what I can wind up doing is, I'm pretty sure I can just swap out these a lot of these buttons and stuff. And just, we get some basic skinning going. All right, so this is what I'm missing are some reference files. All right, I think I might just do this all from scratch. So that being said, I keep going back and forth. I'm trying to, it's super hard to like live code. Like it just, these are all the UI things. So let's do this. Let's rename this guy. And I just need to keep these as a reference. I'm gonna just do this all from scratch. So what I want to do is, let's just do this. Let's just do backup. And I'm going to take pretty much all this stuff and I'm going to move it into backup, but I just want to make sure that I'm not like really screwing things up. I'm just going to rebuild this from scratch. So let's keep, let's keep info, references. We don't need music. We don't need sounds. Our Sprite, our system font, our tilemap PNG, all of this stuff is going to go into backup. And then the code, if I built the UI stuff correctly, hey, looks like there's a lot of people watching me stream. Hey guys, this is me streaming from my hotel. I'm prepping for Ludum, and in order to do that, I'm trying to patch some things in Pixel Vision 8. So it'll be ready to go. But this is the mono game port. All right, I'm going to refresh this. All right, there was an issue loading from workspace system template, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Long story short is that it doesn't know what the hell is going on. So I guarantee you I need to stop drawing. Oh, well, the problem is loading it. It doesn't have anything to load. All right, so here's how this is going to work. Let's start with the basics, like stuff that I know isn't going to have to, like let's start with input fields. That seems like a good place to start because it doesn't have any overstates, and let's just see what we can do here. So I'm going to dump this guy here, And magic wand, continue. 0. All right. What we need to do is clear out ff0ff. We have to build each component piece by piece. Excuse me. And you'll see what I'm talking about. So we'll start with the input field. That's the easiest one. And as I go through and sort of do this, it'll become a little clearer what needs to happen. But that right here in a nutshell is the input field. And all right, so what we need to do first is let's go into here. Let's look at backup. Let's look at the Sprite thing, and I have to find the input. Text tile map. Oh, so fun fact, I don't, when I build the text field, I actually do it by hand. I don't have a component for it. So that means what we need to do is go back into this folder, and we need to get this tile map here, paste this down, and come here, and we're going to do a few other things. So in the references, we're going to copy out the colors, because this needs the colors. We also are going to want, I think for right now, let's just get all the fonts, and then I'll deal with the fonts later. So the component system in Pixel Vision 8 is it's very simplistic. So like when you create an input field, all it does is it renders the text like in the middle of the input field with the background color. It doesn't actually render the border. And to get around that, what I wind up doing is I set up a lot of this stuff from scratch. So what I'm going to do is let's just copy this and paste it into the tile map. Nope, that wasn't what I wanted. Tile map. All right. And I'll sort of show you what I'm talking about in a second. I don't have like a lot of room. There we go. We can get rid of this sprites thing. This isn't going to work. We'll get to the more complicated stuff later. All right, what I want to do is create I'm going to clear out some of this stuff. And this is going to create the background for this thing. And these colors aren't going to work, so they're not going to get parsed. All I'm going to do here in the layers is, well, let's do this. We're going to do file save as, and we'll save this as a tilemap PSD. Okay. And we're going to save this now as a tilemap PNG. Now, what I want to do is, I think I am going to get rid of, let's get rid of this. And we're just going to save it straight like this. And I want to make this a PNG8 with no transparency. The MAC color is going to be FF00FF. And we're going to save that guy. And why it wouldn't save it to the folder I'm working in is sort of beyond me, but Photoshop is sort of strange that way. All right, so we need to go back into Games, System Tools, and save this here. All right, so now what I need to do is let's create a new 128 by 512. We're going to create this guy here, and this is going to be the container for the sprite sheet. But what I need to do is I'm going to have to copy over each of these pieces. There's a little bit of legwork that I need to do here. This is not like, the system isn't like very automated. So when it comes to building out UI stuff, you really have to do it manually. Image, I mean, you got to imagine like Pixel Vision 8 is basically like a Nintendo. So edit, transform, flip horizontal. So you're actually like building UI for a Nintendo, and it means that a lot of it's just done by hand. Maybe over time I'll make the maybe over time I'll make this a little bit more automated. So let's go here and we're going to compress this, and we'll save this as, let's save it as sprites PSD for right now, and then I'll deal with it later. All right, so we'll output this now. So the way that Pixel Vision 8 works is that you give it image files, and it parses that image file and rips out all the sprites. There's a lot of things you can do to optimize the process, but for the most part, like I'll show you right now, what's going to happen is if we open up any one of these fonts, it'll go into the sprite tool, which is broken. Sprite editor did not load correctly. Okay. What am I missing? I have colors. Oh, I'm missing the data file. Right, the data file is what actually tells the system what its specs are. So here you can see it's basically cutting up all the sprites. These are the borders that I was just doing, right? And so now if we quit this and we go into the game and we run it, it's probably going to give us some errors. Yeah, it's going to tell us that the system font stuff's not found. That's fine. I think what I want to do for right now is let's just get rid of all of the component stuff. All right. So the next step, so that's basically it loading with the wrong purple. The next step is to come here and let's uncomment out the init. And we need to change the background color. Now, the background color, if I remember correctly, what we should do is, let me make this bigger, by the way. Systems, tools, settings, run. All right, there we go. Cool, that broke too. Fun. Welcome to the joys of a half-working game engine going into a game jam. No problems there. What was I looking at? Oh yeah, I wanted to see the colors. And let's do. Yeah, we'll just keep this mono game port. Fine. That was my Pomodoro timer. All right, so the background color for this stuff is going to be, I believe it's this 5. So we just need to go into here and change this background color to 5. And then quit. And now if we run the game, we should have an empty frame. Oh, cool, it didn't do anything, huh? Why didn't it? Why is it not changing the background color, my friends? Okay. Hopefully I can fix all these bugs before the weekend. I don't want to make my game jam. All right. So that is working. Ugh. Nothing works. What I don't understand is that should change the background color. Oh, I know why. Because we're not redrawing everything. Whew. Okay. I was getting nervous there for a second. Normally you start with a new project that has, there we go. So that is basically what this is going to look like. And it has the border and all that looks good. What I want to see now is, I think when we go to create input fields, it needs the font, or the font is either built in. And either way, we're going to have to fix that. Now, let's start by, let's just uncomment out all this other stuff, and because we were using that before, and we're going to try to keep this as is. So now, let's run this, and there shouldn't be any broken code. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so what I want to do is we're going to load in this and the Pixel Vision Editor UI. And see what it does. No errors. Good. Let's enable update. So all this other stuff is self-contained, so this should be good. So this is like when I do these porting things and I'm taking like the old stuff and I'm moving it over to the new framework, I just go like basically piece by piece and try to get it working. There are some things that need to be updated in order for the component system to work. It's basically this line right here. We'll update the UI framework. We'll get rid of that, and then we'll start. We're going to only focus on the text component for right now. All right, so it's not throwing any errors. And we're going to tell the OS to draw itself, and nothing is registered, so it shouldn't. Perfect. All right, we're getting there piece by piece. Now, this is what I was sort of talking about earlier, where what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy, this input field, and we're going to look at the tile map, and let's do a few things here. First off, we want we want the whole thing to be masked off. And then I'm going to go to all the input fields, and just by hand, you'll see the input fields here just have this empty space where the engine renders out like the cursor and stuff for you and the text. The trick is that the text actually has the background color in it. So we'll have to make a custom font for that. What we're going to do is paste this in its place and just manually set this guy up. So that's the first input field. This will be the second input field. And the reason I did this is that it's easier for you to change the stuff in the tile map. It's sort of it is annoying. Some people would just rather like say I want an input field and this is what I want it to look like. But the idea is that the component framework is very light. It only renders what it needs to render. So knowing about its border and all that other stuff is sort of like not part of its job. All right, so let's put this here. Let's put this here. And what we'll do is we'll save this out in a minute and we'll test out that it renders correctly. And let's see if I can just stretch this, I believe. Assuming Photoshop doesn't do something stupid. All right, I did something stupid. This is too high. All right, put this here. And we just need this. I just want to, I was trying to catch Spotify before it went off to its like randomness. There was I have a pretty good playlist going. Luckily, you guys can't hear my music, so okay. So now here's where we stand. We now have the 3 input fields set up. And if we do this and we now save this out, we should be able to implement the input fields pretty quickly. Because all we'll have to do is add the font. I think it's called input text or something. In fact, what we'll do is let's just to, as a precursor, let's do, there should be an input font. And we're going to paste the input font here. But we're going to have to fix the mapping. All right, we'll look at that in a second. I don't have any of the color mapping stuff there. So what we'll do is, for right now, let's just make this magenta. Oh, that's ugly. And I believe Cast Pixel's palette has white. So this is this right here is the new official Pixel Vision 8 palette. So originally when I wrote Pixel Vision 8, I just was emulating like what a Nintendo was. So I used like a Nintendo palette and a Game Boy palette. And one of the things that Pixel Vision didn't really have, okay, so our white is definitely not a pure white. F9, F4, EA. F9, F4, EA. And one of the things that I asked Cast Pixel to do was give me, like, I wanted Pixel Vision 8 to have a personality. And Saint 11 did a really great job. He really got me going. But we didn't really have a lot of time to sort of work on. He wound up being pulled away to Celeste. And I wound up like trying to clean up as much of this stuff as possible. And we didn't really get a chance to give it the personality. So a lot of the new screens you're seeing, like this stuff, is all Cast Pixel adding like a lot of personality to the game engine. And we have a whole new Finder and all kinds of stuff that's going to go in. But that being said, let's see if we can get text rendering real quick. I'm hoping that there's some like low-hanging fruit that I can do and then like go to sleep. So what's interesting is that this isn't create text title. All right, we just gotta go like line by line and get this stuff working. All right, so that's not doing anything. Draw text, which none of this stuff may have been working to begin with. So display message. I'm pretty sure that's not going to work. Let's not go that far yet. Enable actions, create slider, create button, create toggle button. Let me do this real quick. Editor, font, size, 16. I don't know if that'll help make it a little bigger to read. Any bigger and then I can't see anything. Toggle group, button, create input field, Okay, so here's where we need to start. So let's start with the volume input field. And we're going to save this. And then what I want to see is oh. All right, so that goes there. And this is goes here. I didn't comment this out correctly. So now let's see if this breaks anything. Font, system font not found. All right, so I feel like this stuff here probably shouldn't be run. Attempt to index a nil value, so 62. Oh yeah, we need the editor UI. The editor UI is the main object that gives us the stuff. Font, system font not found. So I'm going to copy the system font over, and then later I'll fix this. What we'll also do is I'm going to remove, let's make this magenta. Let's just make this white for right now. Although I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to, because of the way the palette stuff works, let's make that magenta. All right, we're gonna save it for right now. All this stuff is going to be broken. We're going to go and we're going to fix all this text. All right, hey, look, it's working now. It's working in the sense of it's not throwing an error. So let's get the title back in. And I don't think title data was even used anywhere. There's supposed to be a bar at the top that it shows, but it's not. And I think that's mostly because it doesn't have all the artwork for it. So it's probably going to say it doesn't have the default font. Yeah, default font's not available. Let's not do that. All right, so we have this input volume. Oh, you know what's also weird? What I'm not seeing is I forgot to add tile map. I need to add this guy to the sprite sheet. And also, we can shrink this. I merged these. Hold on, I want to fix this for a second. So I merged these stupid layers together, and I shouldn't have done that. All right, so there's that, and now we're going to paste in this guy, and we'll just put him. Let's hide this for a second. I just want to make sure that it's in the right spot. If it's not matched up exactly how the tile map is, it won't be able to pull the sprites from the tile map and match them up to the sprites file. So it's sort of important to get that stuff 100% right, including the colors. If any colors are off, they just won't get parsed correctly. So if we rerun this, what we should see now are the input fields in the background. There we go. All right, that looks good. What I also kind of want to do is let's just set this to a solid color, and for the tile map, I'm going to do the same thing here. This way, it's going to be replaced anyways. I just don't want it to flicker. Sometimes when the UI like builds itself out, it like takes a frame. So we'll save this, output this and replace. All right, so now we should wind up with a, oh, those input fields look so good. CastPixel is such a good pixel artist. All right, so we don't have a mouse, we don't have anything. Let's go figure out what the hell's up with the rest of the update logic. Update text, update slider, update button, toggle group, input field, input area. I don't know what's up with that, but let's just update the input field. Like I don't have the mouse because I don't have artwork for the mouse. We have a mouse. All right, we're gonna copy all this stuff over. Whoops. Into our sprites PSD. So, come on. So what we'll do is, let's move this over here. And I'm gonna have to break all this stuff out into individual files, which I'm not particularly ready to do right now, though I think I'm gonna have to. So let's just we'll get them all organized, and then I will just break out the ones that I need for right now. The reason I'm moving everything over is because I might as well just get like the whole system in place. I'll have to ask her what that down is for. I hate when Photoshop does that. All right, yeah, bear with me for a minute while I set this stuff up. Just a lot of prep work whenever you're doing this stuff. There's no way really around it, unfortunately. But that's the nature of the beast. And the goal is that once I get this project working fully, it shouldn't take me very long to reskin some of the simpler screens that she's designed. All right, so what I need to do is, first off, we got to replace this color with magenta, or just delete it altogether. Then I'm going to copy out, actually, I want to keep it as magenta because when I copy this out, it'll give me the full size. So let's go here and we're going to create this guy. Now, here's where I got to go back into that sprites thing, and what we got to look at is the cursor pointer. That's what this guy was called. All right, so we're going to save this out to a new folder called Sprite Builder. And the Sprite Builder is a tool that's built into Pixel Vision 8 that allows you to match up individual cursor pointer, individual like larger sprites, and match them up with little tiny sprites that have been cut up in memory. I'll show you. It's easier just to sort of show you how it's going to work, because if you had to do this by hand, you'd want to like scream. I can only imagine how like painful it was to like work on the early like NES games without like any real like tools of any kind to do all this stuff. All right, so this is cursor hand. So okay, so what happens is that at its core, Pixel Vision 8 can only render sprites that are 8 by 8. What we're doing is we're going to set these into a folder that's not loaded in hand cursor, and these are 2 by 2 sprites. So there's 4 sprites here, and I'm going to run the sprite builder over it, and it's going to give me back a data file with all the sprites that I need. It's hard to explain, especially while I'm trying to do it at the same time. Cursor text. We do help. I think I use help somewhere in here. All right, this will be the last one I do, and then any other ones will just be their own thing. All right, so we're going to save this. What did I save it as? I put dashes in it so I can just read it a little easier, but the sprite builder, when it generates out the Lua file, is actually just going to, it's going to remove these dashes and make clean variable names. I'll sort of show you right now what's going to happen. Okay, so if we come into here and let's go into, let's just open up one of these things. Now, I probably am out of, oh, hey, look at that. I'm not even out of memory yet. All right, it's not loading up this stuff. Let's make sure that this file is now, whoops. Okay, perfect. Let's make sure that this file is saving. We'll put that here, save. And then we're going to refresh this, and we should now see those sprites being pulled out of that file. There we go. Oh, it looks so good. It looks so good. When all these tools are redesigned, it's going to be, I'm gonna brag, it's going to be the best looking fantasy console out there. Now, whether you can make a good game with it is like a whole other story, but like Caspixel and I have been like working for months to get this to be just like to look perfect. All right, so now what we can do is we're going to run this thing called builder, and the builder is going to go through and it's going to generate out this file. It's not giving you the right update message at the bottom of the screen, but the builder is going to create a file called SB Sprites, and what it did was it's now, let me make this bigger, even though I'm having trouble seeing it. All right, so SB Sprites is a Lua file, and it's going to give us Lua variables for each of those files that are in that folder, and it basically matches them up to the sprites that are in memory, and it'll tell you like this is the width for them, these are the sprite IDs, and it does this. You don't have to do it by hand, because if you didn't have a tool like this, you'd have to go through and like write down each of these IDs. And the thing is that if you changed around the sprites at all, it would the IDs would change. So the tool allows you to like still work on your sprites and reorganize them, and because it visually matches them up to what's in the folder, if you basically type your variables to this, it will make sure that you always keep track of the right stuff. Hold on, why is this not infinite mode? All right, losing Pomodoros. Usually I just use it as a break so I know when to stand. All right, so if you're just tuning in, I'm trying to test out what streaming is like from my hotel so that I can do Ludum Dare this weekend while I'm in Irvine, California. And I'm basically taking some time to just work on some stuff for Pixel Vision. Oh, look at that. That's a new cursor, and it should change into an input field. Oh, right, these ones aren't working yet. Okay, perfect. So technically the text is working, there's just, you can't see any text. But this is what I was like, talking about. So it's like, what I've done is I've created a system where you can now create like larger sprites without having to deal with the pain of like doing it all by hand. And since the framework looks for these very specific variable names, I didn't have to do any extra code. It just all sort of works. All right, so we're gonna have to fix some of this stuff. I think what I might wind up having to do is bring all of the framework Lua files into this project, because if I start changing stuff at an OS level, it's going to break everything. Let's do that. This is going to get really annoying. But let's see if we can. All right. So it's hard to explain, but what winds up happening is that at the OS, there's a system folder here called libs, and these are all the files that are automatically available to every game. Well, only if you have the OS installed. And what happens is that you can have like partial files all over the place. Like I'm going to stand and talk, not like you can see. You can have all these like partial like code files in lib folders. There's one that's built into the system as part of the OS, which gives you all the UI. There's another folder that lives inside of the workspace. So if you come into the workspace, there's a libs folder here that all your games can share code. So let's say you're building a bunch of different games and they all use sort of very similar code libraries. You can share all them, and then when you're ready to distribute your game and you click build, Pixelvision 8 will take all of the code that your game uses and package it up into one zip. So you can override any set of files by simply just adding them into your project folder. So what I'm going to do for this project for right now is I'm going to, first off, let me just make these guys a different color so I know what they look like. We're going to make them green. And what we're going to do is these are going to override the built-in libraries for the OS only when this game runs. It's a little bit of a complicated, it's a pretty complicated system, but what I've already noticed is right here the mouse is a little off. So what I want to do is probably like see how the mouse should be like right at that corner. I'm going to look into how I can fix some of that stuff. Let's see what else we need to do in order to get this to work. I think that the reason the menu bar isn't rendering is because we don't have the text for it. But all right, so right now I want to get I want to have all of these input fields work, and let's go ahead and we'll do the name, create an input field, create an input area. All right, so we're gonna save these out and rerun this, and we should get hopefully no errors. All right, see how all of the fills now are showing the background when before in the tile map I made them the background. That means that it's going through and it's taking the first character of the font, which is broken right now, and it's replacing it with that inside track. In fact, I think there is actually a blank. There might be in the there might actually be a sprite that we need to create. It should be something like stepper back, the cursor hand, code tool, debugger tool, music open, reset buttons, tile map buttons, sounds. Oh, so those are all the buttons, which we definitely don't need. But action bar background strip, we'll have to fix those. Toolbar background, action button. I'll have to look into what the input field uses. I think it is I think it's the empty font, the first character of the font. Input area, attempt to index a nil value. Fine. All right, we'll deal with that one later. What I want to do is I want to get the font working. And that's going to be tricky because in order to get the font working, we're going to definitely need to do some basic palette, define some palettes. Okay, so each of these things have an offset. So let's just set this to 0, 0, 0, 0 for right now, and then we'll go and we'll fix the. There we go. All right, cool. So that's working. That one isn't working, and then this one, delete's not. Oh, delete is working. That must be that new quiet MacBook keyboard. It's not capturing all the inputs. All right, and then this is, oops, that's going to break because I don't, that's connected to some buttons and I don't have the buttons. But all right, so right out the gate, our input fields basically work. What's missing is the background color. So what I'm kind of curious about in Cast Pixels comps are, I don't know if we have input fields on different back. I think all input fields have the same fill. I haven't seen input fields not on that. We should probably put the sliders in too. Where's that tile map? I think sliders grew a lot. So I'll have to figure out how to get that really working. So that's the reason why I had to copy over the other classes, is because what's going to happen is that as I fix the input stuff, it's going to it's going to break the existing framework library, and I don't want to do that because I'm going to need it for this weekend. So that's fine. Image, edit, layer, transform. No, it's edit, transform, flip, horizontal. All right, and here, whoops. All right, that I'm not very happy about. Why is... What did she do here? All right, let me get rid of this stuff for right now. Input font. Why is the horizontal one taking up 3 sprites, but the vertical one only takes up 2 sprites? That's not good. All right, well, for right now, I'll just have to deal with it like this. Maybe, I guess that's fine. I don't know. And I also don't know, edit, flip, transform, flip, flip vertical. All right, so that is where that goes. All right, so those would give us the sliders. And we're going to have to copy that stuff over to the tile map, save. So we're going to have to copy these sprites over as the slider background stuff, which is fine. Is that matched up into, is that correct? Tile map. Yeah, well, I copied it from there. Okay, good. If anyone has any questions, you guys can chat. I don't know if it's broken or if people are just very quiet and really entertained, but feel free to chat with me. This isn't, cutting up this stuff isn't really mentally taxing for me, so I'm happy to make this a little more fun. Yes, you're allowed to chat. Mr. Love Pickle. Oh, I like that name. uh, yeah, sometimes like people get like super quiet on the chat. Like I don't mind answering questions and stuff. It just if I'm if I'm really into something, I won't talk. All right, so that will be the that'll give us the borders for the sliders. So let's save this and then put this guy here. All right, so there are the sliders. There's the text. Yes, I can see YouTube chat. I have it. I'm using a Restream, which goes to like I guess all three of the things I've set up, like Twitch, YouTube, and Mix. I guess. So, yes, I can see it. That's why I don't put the chat in the window thing. It gets like a little weird, and I don't know. Lately, I've been. I guess you guys probably see this letterbox because I'm running this at my like a native resolution on my MacBook Pro, which isn't 720p, and if I tried to stream it at like 1080p, so I have like the weirdest setup. Basically, what I'm doing is I have my MacBook Pro, and I have the video out from my MacBook Pro going into a capture card. The capture card is going into a Surface Go, and the Surface Go is streaming everything for me. This way, my laptop doesn't slow down, and I mean, it feels a little slow. I don't know why, but really, all the performance is the Surface is dealing with all of it. But there's no fan on it, so I don't hear anything. But it can't do anything more than it can't convert more than 720p. So whatever. Anyways, when I get home, this is like my mobile setup. I'm just testing this out. When I get home, it will be a lot better. I mean, generally, I'm in hotels that can't even deal with the. I mean, it's giving me a warning saying low bandwidth, so I'm sure the video is kind of like shit, anyways. Yeah, streaming on the Surface Go. It's I haven't had a chance to really like test it out, but I did get so Pixel Vision 8 is compiling on it fine. I haven't like done any like proper editing on it, but or like developing on it, but for the most part, it seems to be a pretty decent device. It is definitely slow. Like if you're like, I mean, my main laptop now is a quad core MacBook Pro, like a 13-inch, and there's a definite difference going to the Go, but I kind of like the idea of the Go is once I have Pixel Vision 8 running a little bit better, I will probably just take my Surface Go with me on trips. So once Pixel Vision 8 again lets me build stuff into the just the tools and I'm not like patching stuff, its requirements its requirements are like really low. Yes, you can prepare for the jam. It's allowed. I do the jam. I don't do the compo. The compo is where you have to create everything on your own. I mean, I did the keynote, man. I know the rules. Generally, when you do the jam, you can do anything you want. You can bring your own code. You can work with other people and all that stuff. I actually just use Ludum Dare as a time to make the game that I like to build. So for this Ludum Dare, I don't even care what the theme is. I'm just going to rebuild one of my older Ludum Dare games that Christine has given me new artwork for. So one Ludum Dare I did, what do we have here? I did a game called Reaper Boy, and she gave me like all new artwork for it, and we wanted to build a game that really showed off what Pixel Vision 8 could do. So I think for this Ludum Dare, I'm actually just going to like rebuild a past Ludum Dare game, but use all new artwork. For me, it's just it's a good time to just work on a game for a weekend. Her stuff is so good. It's hard to see, but anyways, and Mr. Love Pickle is asking me why I travel so much. So I'm a developer evangelist at Amazon, a game developer evangelist, and I basically travel a lot for work. Last week I was in Seattle for meetings. This week I'm in Irvine for meetings, and I was trying to pull together a Ludum Dare event here in Irvine, but I didn't really have a lot of time to do it. So instead, you just get me in a hotel room. I figured, why change my flight? I still was going to do Ludum Dare anyways out here, so now I'm just going to do it from a hotel. How's the video look for you guys? I'm sure the sound is like shit. Like that I can't fix. But hopefully the video is like decent. I mean, I'm not really expecting anyone to be following along at home. All right, so we need to do the 8x8 bold font. Uh, 8x8 bold font. So what I'm going to do is I wish like the Mac would remember the settings for each window. All right, we have a large bold font, and I'm going to use this in place of the input font. There should be oh, it's right above it. I'm a fucking idiot. I should probably not curse. We should keep it PC for the kids and clean. Well, I don't say any ethnic slurs, so that's fine. Not that kind of streamer. All right, so let's do this. We're gonna get rid of this input font, and we're gonna replace it with this guy here. And now let's come back into this and refresh. And I love it when things just work. Like this is so I spent like literally years getting the framework to just be like really like I was preparing the framework to be like reskinned and redesigned. So things are like starting to look right. What's missing now are the palettes, and that's what we're gonna take a look at doing next. What I think I want to do is, all right. So let's take a look here for a second at the colors. So the way that the palette system works is that we basically map colors to an index, and then I can shift that index up and down. So to give you actually an idea, like let's take a look at, I tried to use the mouse wheel, which I've not connected up. So like we'll look at the sprites here, and I'll sort of walk you through what that means. So let's take this exclamation mark, right? For this exclamation mark, it's colored to this purple, which is the first color, and that's index 0. If I add 1 to it, it's going to shift it over to the next color. If I set this to 15, that'll make it white, which is the last color in the palette. And we can keep going on and on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to copy this. We had to redo this color thing. Hold on. Let's go here. Let's go into the colors tool. Technically, you're supposed to be able to do all this stuff in the tool. So let's just see if we can do it on the tool. Because I like to, like, one of the things that I wanted Pixel Vision 8 to really do that none of the other fantasy game consoles do is I wanted you to have your own workflow. And there's a huge emphasis on using external tools. Like I do have like all kinds of tools I'm going to build for this so that you could do it all in one place. But I really feel like I wanted this to be a virtual machine that you literally just like put games into. The tools and the editing is like, these are more like for debugging and helping you. Like who wants to code in 256 by 256 window? It sounds awful. All right, what we're going to do here is we're going to create a new, let's do this. It's a 2D 1B 2E. 2D 1B 1E. Did I do that right? 2D 1B 1E. 2D 1B 2E. 2D 1B 2E. E? I can't. I have like no memory. I have like the worst short-term memory ever. 2D 1B 2E. 2D 1B 2E. All right, so what we need to do is we need to make a copy button for colors. That's definitely a feature that needs to happen. All right, and what we're going to do for the background, I just want to make sure that the font color is white. This is the F9 F4 EA. F9 F4 EA. F9 F4 EA. F9 F4 EA. Great. Okay, so why did I put these two colors here? Well, what's going to happen is we're going to set, we're going to change the font a little bit. And let's look for where the input. Did I not open this font yet? Let's do this. Let's open up this input font. All right, I want to change this to F9 F4 EA. F9 F4 EA. And let's copy this out. So what are you doing, Jesse? Well, I'm going to set, no. Wrong move. I actually need to use this color because we're going to do these as two colors matched together. So, and then I'm going to shift them all over to the next page of colors. So 2188, oh my, it's hard not to curse. Just do it this way. Two 18891. All right, so check this out for a second and just sort of follow me here how this works. What we're doing is we're changing the colors of this font to the first two colors, right, in memory. So when we shift the colors over, I believe there is 64 colors in this first page. When we shift it over by 64 colors, it will now become, this will be the background and this will become the foreground. Whereas on the first page, you see that's the background and that's the foreground. I'm going to do this a little bit better in a different way later, but for right now, let's just say this is the way it's happening. So let's quit this. And we'll load up the sprites, and we're just going to take a look and make sure we figure out the right offset. So we'll open up our sprites editor, previewer, and we should be able to set this to 64. I'm an idiot. I didn't save the colors. Damn it. I need a warning for that. Two D 1B 2E. 2D 1B 2E. I have a feeling I'm going to memorize these numbers very well, just like I know some other like ones off the top of my head. 218891. Just forget it. Uh, 218891. All right, let's save. Now, if I refresh this, it should remember it's on the second page. No, it didn't remember the second page. I may not have added memory, but it did save this, which is good. I don't have a color map, but it probably just outputted a color map. Did it? Interesting. All right, I gotta. Right, there's no color map right now. I haven't created a color map. Fine. And the flags are always the flags. All right. Did it create flags? And it did create flags. All right. There's a lot of like built-in things in the Pixel Vision 8 that I'm not going to get into right now. But what should happen now is if we come here and we go back into the fonts. All right. If I make this now 63. All right, 64. Oh, so stupid. What it should have been was, it should be that white. Where's the white? We'll get this right eventually. I think this is like the part of the evening where I'm like too tired to even focus. So it's 6:34. Yeah, I've been up since 2 a.m. It's a long day. All right, so what we're going to do here is F9, F4, EA. We'll save this out, quit, and now if we come back and we look at the colors, or we need to look at the input. There we go. So now you see this will work pretty good. So what we got to do is we got to shift all of the input by 64, which I think is where we had it before. And we'll do run. So now we come here and we set all this. Nope, it was a 32. So 64, 64. This will be 64, 66, which will shift it over 2, and we'll come up with a disabled color. I'm sure it's gray. I don't know if CastPixel actually created one for me, but we can do that in a bit. And then now if we refresh this, you'll see all the colors have shifted over, and the text looks like it's supposed to. And that's like pretty good. That's my name. Pixel Vision, done. Ran out of characters. Well, the good news is that input fields now work. What other low-hanging fruit can we do? I think what I'm going to really need to do is I'm going to have to wait until the morning. I'll probably end the stream in a few minutes. I'm actually kind of hungry. I guess I'll have to go eat something at the hotel. I don't know. I had like a late lunch that was supposed to be an early dinner for me, but the math didn't work out right. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this for the night. Tomorrow I'm going to take a fresh look at all this, and I need to now do the same sort of palette swapping, but I have to do that all for the buttons. And I'm going to have to go through and just come up with all the palettes and sort of map all that out. There's a lot of different states that I need to figure out. Also, one thing that she sent me was this guy. So this is like a whole new UI element I need to do. It's actually going to work. It's going to work just like a slider. And when you run it back and forth, or up and down, I guess I'll do it like vertically or horizontally based on which direction you go. Maybe I'll do it vertically. It's going to cycle through all these animations, but I have to figure out how to cut this up because it takes up a lot of sprites. Maybe we can do that for a little bit longer. Let's see, what time is it? Let's see. If I generate out all of these, it's going to be a lot of sprites. So here was my idea. My idea for doing something like this to cut down all the sprites was to do the knob separate and have the background be its own thing. The problem is that if I split this up by 4s, this is an 8 by 8. This is 24 by 24. So they are the sprites. My fear was that there wasn't a lot of repeat, but maybe there is. Maybe she is right, and I don't have to like. All right, let's do this. Let's turn all this stuff on. The only problem is that thing isn't on each image. I'll deal with that in a minute. Let's export all these and see what happens. Export layers to files. References. I want to put this into the Sprite Builder folder. I want to make them all PNG 8s, no transparency, no trimming layers. Knob is what we're going to call it. And visible layers only. So let's run this. So what I'm hoping is that I'll add her little highlight on top. What I'm hoping is that if I just throw this into Pixel Vision 8 and it goes and does like a quick optimization, it'll give me all this stuff without it being too much of a problem. The only thing that's going to be really annoying right now is I don't think texture. I should probably not do something while. Right, oh, that was successful. Great. Texture packer. I have to get the. Agree. Let's just try Texture Packer Pro. All right, so what we're going to do is a little trick. I love this program. Sprite Builder. I hate the way that Photoshop like names stuff. So let's just fix the naming stuff real quick. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I might actually just make these all dashes. It's just, the problem is like whenever you make anything, there's like a lot of prep that goes into it, but luckily my goal is that once I finish getting all these UI components reskinned, going through her designs is going to be like really fast. Like even if we look at this like really complicated, like the goal is to build out this guy. I'm not going to do this for Ludum Dare. I'm just getting everything ready before Ludum Dare. I just want to see if this all like I'm making sure the Pixel Vision 8 is working before I get into Ludum Dare. Even if we look at like building out this, you could see like it's going to be like most of this is all background. There's input fields. There's a button. There's a toggle button, which will do a checkbox. The checkbox is going to be super easy to build. These are all input fields that just sit on top of a background. And this volume thing, which actually looking at it is exactly how I want to build it, where it's going to, the volume button, see, I knew I was right. I have to build the volume button where it's only the volume knob. All right, we'll have to cut that out later. Let's just see. See, I knew I was right. Damn it. All right, I'm going to do a quick experiment here because I can always go through. I have to add in the highlight anyways, so I can just go through and do that. But the knob should be independent of the background. I was right. Doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, I like to gloat. So I'll just go in by hand and clean up each of these. That's fine. It's not going to take too long. Especially as I can use some like masking tricks. It's just going to be like a little time consuming. I don't want to waste Cast Pixel's time. She's too good of a pixel artist to have to do the prep work. I don't mind doing it. It's probably not very interesting to watch someone do, but it definitely, to me, is like, sort of like once you get into a rhythm of cleaning up artwork and prepping it, it's actually like not too bad. Yeah, I could Mac has like a renaming thing, but because Photoshop adds these numbers in the middle, it throws off the naming and it doesn't know how to rename it correctly. It's really annoying. Like Photoshop is just, and if the layer order is different, it doesn't name it correctly. So it's just easier to do it this way. What I was hoping was that, like, in a realistic world, what's gonna happen is that Pixelvision 8 is gonna optimize this pretty well, but all I really need is a quarter of it, and I could do the math and flip the thing vertically and horizontally and like rebuild it mathematically. Like if this was a real Nintendo, that's probably what I would do is I would cut this down to, I'd have to look at how many angles she has. Like I'm trying to like do the math in my head right now, but I would probably take like 10 of these frames and then I would mirror them vertically and horizontally and just build out like a table. And in the end, that's probably what I'll wind up doing just to speed things up. But right now I just want to see what the engine will do with it. And then we'll go from there. So we'll drop this here. Set this to advanced. PNG indexed. Do PNG 32. And I want to set this to 128, which is the width of a page of memory inside of Pixelvision 8, and 512. I don't want to rotate. I want to detect identical sprites, which there probably are none. And I think this is it. I don't want to trim. And let's just output this. Where's the reference? Let's just call this knob. All right, and then we're going to, yeah, Texture Packer is awesome. It's definitely well worth the money. And then what we'll do from here is on the sprites thing, let's just paste them down. Oh, perfect. All right, it fits. So let's just save. It's like a ton of sprites. Watch what Pixelvision 8 is going to like optimize the shit out of this. See, I shouldn't curse, but it's going to be good. It should do a really good job of it. Why is this so big? I thought these were. There we go. That's 24 by 24. Okay. Yeah, it's going to. There's so much like gap here that all this stuff. Watch what it's going to do. We'll go into Pixelvision here and let's just open up the sprite editor. Any font right now, I'll just open up the sprite editor. Look, it took all those sprites and just made it into a few little knobs. That's good. I like that. And then if I went and I did the builder and we look at the sprite builder file, it'll give me all the knobs. So what is Pixelvision 8? Pixelvision 8 is a fantasy game console that I've been writing for the past 3 years, 2.5 years. Saying 3 makes it even more depressing. So it's sort of like Pico 8, and this is it running right here. So you can learn more at pixelvision.com, pixelvision8.com. But I've been rebuilding it all in monogame, and the goal is to get this all wrapped up with a new design by the end of by the end of by the end of this year, hopefully. I had a good window where I was like just making games with it, but like now every Ludum Dare I try to make a new game with it. Cool. All right, so this worked really well. What I would have to do is, and I don't really feel like doing this now, is I would probably have to go. I'm gonna have to go through each one of these and just mask off the button. Like, let me look at how she has this here. It's like even a different color palette, which is fine. I can fix that. That's not a big deal. But what would happen is that this would be a sprite that sat on top of the background. Excuse me. All right, that would work out pretty well. Yeah, I'm really happy with the way this is going to turn out, because building out a screen like this is only going to use 1, 2, 3. Well, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 types of components. So if I get those 5 components working, we'll be good to go. Cool. All right, I think that's where I'm going to end the stream. Tomorrow I will finish cutting up these. I'll start with buttons and setting up palettes and getting all that stuff sort of working, and then we'll go from there. Because there's a lot more UI that I'm probably going to want to show. But cool. I think I'd say this is a pretty successful. I don't know what I've been streaming for, like an hour or two. I don't know. Does this thing tell me? I need to get back into. Oops. I need to get back into. Why does it not tell me how long I've been streaming for? I can't move the chat window out of the way. I don't know. It's not telling me. I'm not recording, so I don't know. I imagine if I was recording, it'd probably melt at this Surface Go. I'm shocked it was able to keep up for this long. It's doing all the streaming for me. Cool. All right. So that's it. That's where we net it off. And tomorrow morning, probably bright and early. So I get up at around like 2 out here, 2 or 3 a.m. We're going to finish skinning these components, and then I'll probably stream tomorrow afternoon as well, around this time too. We'll try to get like 2 streams in, and then all weekend, starting on Friday night, I guess. I don't have anything better to do since I'm out here by myself. Starting Friday night, we're going to be building a game for Ludum Dare, and I'll be doing that all weekend, all through. So let's see, it'll be Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, because the 72-hour jam goes for 72 hours. We'll be building a game with Pixel Vision 8, and hopefully rebuilding Reaper Boy to its full potential. So thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. And yeah, that's that.